Welcome, luxury enthusiasts, to the Luxury Travelers Podcast, hosted by Rodney George. The ultimate passport to opulent destinations, extravagant experiences, and unparalleled indulgence. Whether one is a seasoned jet setter or daydreaming of the next lavish getaway, the Luxury Travelers Podcast has it all covered. So buckle up and prepare for a journey into the lap of luxury. Now, your host.
Well, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time of day you're finally getting around to watch this exciting episode of the Luxury Travelers Podcast. I have a really incredibly different guest with me today than our typical guest. I actually met her at the Signature Travel Network conference in Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago when there were 4,000 top travel advisors from all over the country there and 550 vendors. And somehow Aashi and I crossed paths, and I'm glad we did. Aashi Vel is the founder and CEO of a company called Traveling Spoon. And we're going to dig in right now and welcome her to the show and see what this Traveling Spoon thing's all about. So, Aashi, welcome to the Luxury Travelers Podcast.
Thank you, Rodney. It's a pleasure to be here.
Where does today find you in the world? Where are you today?
I am located in the Seattle area.
Seattle, okay.
So we're lucky to have sunlight today.
Good. For those of you who have not heard of Traveling Spoon, that's because you're reading the wrong publication. I just found out when Aashi sent me some information that she's been featured in the New York Times, Time magazines, and Forbes as, quote, the future of culinary tourism. So this should be exciting for all of us because the one thing that most people like to do is eat. But eating with Traveling Spoon's a little different than most people are probably accustomed to when they're traveling the world. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the name should give us a little bit, but tell us what goes on at Traveling Spoon and how different the experience is from a traditional vacation experience.
I'll start with saying that our tagline is travel off the eaten path, and we basically give travelers a chance to connect with private cooking classes or market tours with locals in their homes. So, the whole reason we started the company was to make travel more meaningful. And food is such an incredible connector of people. When you're breaking bread with someone and sharing a meal and learning to cook, you just open up and share stories, and it just makes people feel so comfortable. And for me, Rodney, that is the power of travel, right? When you meet someone from a completely different part of the world and you realize over a meal just how similar we all are. We share the same values as humans, despite the political and cultural differences. And food is that catalyst for connection. It gets people to truly open up and talk to each other and hear each other. And so that's what we do. We're an online marketplace. It's travelingspoon.com. And we connect travelers with these 5 authentic food experiences in people's homes around the world. And we personally vet every single host that we bring onto our community.
Wow. You personally have vetted all these people. That's pretty amazing because when you see the list of folks that she has access to around the world, I first did this with a chef in Cape Town, South Africa, on a vendor tour about, probably 7-8 years ago. And it was such an incredible experience that when I found you, I thought, I have to drop an anchor here. We need to talk.
I'm so glad you did. It was such a pleasure meeting you at Signature.
Well, our clients are always looking for something different. They're always looking for kind of bragging rights, if you will. And to say that you toured Italy or Spain or Portugal or the United States, and you had dinner in someone different home every few nights or every night of your trip is pretty neat bragging rights, actually. So tell us a little bit about the in-home experience that our clients can look forward to if they decide that they want to try this new concept, or as Forbes said, the future of culinary travel.
So imagine you are going to Italy and you visit a Florentine grandmother in her home and learn to make Tuscan pasta from scratch and, share that meal with her. And then I'll actually describe to you one of our experiences in Florence. So
Please do.
We have a host named Patrizia, who is a food and wine journalist. Like, I love my jobs, but I truly also envy hers because she gets to travel around Italy and Europe finding the best food products and then tasting and writing about them. And so her home is steps away from the Duomo in Firenze. And you can go to the market with her and pick up Roman artichokes and bring it back home. And, learn to cook a traditional Tuscan meal with her and share that meal with her at her dining table, which is just something that is so unusual, so off, as we say, the eaten path, but so non-touristy. It gives you a true understanding of the local culture and how she lives and what her hopes and dreams are and the food that she cooks. And she shares, family recipes with you that have been passed down through generations in her family. So it's truly an immersive food experience that gets you as close as possible to the culture of that region.
Well, the lady that was in your booth with you when I was at the show was actually one of your providers.
Yes.
And she was from Chicago and promised next time I was in Chicago, if I booked a meal at her home, she would teach me how to make real Chicago-style deep dish pizza.
Yes, that's our Nancy. She is wonderful. And don't forget her flourless chocolate cake, too. It is delicious.
And, I have a bonus daughter, and that is her favorite dessert in the whole world, flourless chocolate cake. Not sure how they make it, but I sure would like to find out. And I'm going to go to Chicago sometime soon just so I can find out.
We love to host you, Rodney.
Your training background and education is not anywhere close to this, because if I'm not mistaken, you have an MBA from UC Berkeley, right?
That's right. Yeah. And before that, I was an industrial designer designing medical products for about 10 years on the East Coast.
So are you living the dream, or what is this?
I am. I loved my job as a designer, and I still use those skills, designing the website and the product, the experience and things like that. But after my time as a designer, I truly wanted to get into entrepreneurship. And food is just so close to my heart. It is, it is where I live. I love food. And I truly wanted to start a company for food. And I remember in the spring of 2011, I was in Mexico, in the Playa del Carmen, in the Yucatan. Mm-hmm. And I just had a really touristy experience when I was in Mexico. Whenever I travel to a new region or a new city, I try to find the most local food and the local fruit. And I had such a hard time finding authentic Mexican food on my trip in Playa. The restaurants that came highly recommended by friends, also TripAdvisor, were these beautiful bohemian chic restaurants. But the food itself catered to a Western palate, and they were crowded with tourists. And I just struggled to find, authentic Mexican food. And Rodney, I still remember walking down the street one day to another restaurant, and I happened to pass by this house on the street, and I looked through the window for some reason, and I saw this woman cooking in her kitchen. And it just struck me, that moment. I was like, oh, that's what I want. I want to eat with her. I want to hear her stories. And my co-founder, Steph, and I joke about it because I met Steph at business school a few months later. And she had had a similar experience when she had been living in China a few years prior. On her bucket list of things to do was to learn to make dumplings from a Chinese grandmother, but she just couldn't find that experience. And so we decided to work on it together and see if it was just a personal pain point or if this was actually something people were looking for.
Yeah.
Turns out they are. But we laugh about it because, we started the company and she really wanted to learn how to cook with people. And I just wanted to eat in local homes. So we said, let's see how this goes. And here we are, we've become the number one thing to do on several TripAdvisor destinations, which is supposed to show that people are craving these sorts of intimate, personalized food experiences. All of our experiences are private for that reason. We want to give our travelers that one-on-one time with our hosts. And while I think it is fun to have a group shared experience around a big dining table where there's, 10 or 12 people, the guests end up talking to each other, which is fun. But our entire mission is to make travel meaningful and connect travelers with locals in their homes. So all of our experiences are private. So when you book an experience and it's just a couple or sometimes even a solo traveler, it's just you and our host. And, our host will choose a menu for the day, depending on the season or what she feels like. And you share that experience with him or her.
So is there a list somewhere of all the people that you have or all the cities where you have participants?
Yeah, so if you go to our website, it's travelingspoon.com. We are in the process of building a brand new website, which will launch next year. But when you go to our website right now, you can click on where you're traveling, and it pulls up a list of all of our destinations. So we're now in 70 countries and over 230 cities around the world.
Wow.
Anything from, Buenos Aires to Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia. So, it's just everywhere. And we truly try to find the best home cooks around the world and give them this platform and opportunity to share what they love, to make money doing what they love. We've, enabled so many. It's something that I love is just many of our hosts in Asia tend to be women in their 60s and 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And many of them have not, worked for money before. And now in their retirement, they're able to make money doing what they love. These are women who've been cooking for their friends and families and in-laws for decades, right?
Yeah.
And now they get a chance to just show off their cooking skills and make money and become micro culinary entrepreneurs.
So how in the world did you ramp up and to the point that you've got people in 70 countries and 230 cities and towns across the world? I mean, how do you find each other? How'd this happen?
It started off with Steph and I traveling to these different destinations. We started out in Asia because we felt that was where there was a need and travel was growing fastest in Asia. And I have eaten in over 100 homes, I want to say, which was fantastic in the early years. And now I, clearly don't do that as much. We have a team. But what truly enabled us to scale was it happened by accident. So we remember receiving, applications from people who said, I love what you're doing. I'm a huge foodie. I love to travel. Can I help Travel Spoon? And said, we love your background, but, there's only so many jobs and we're a small startup at the time. And so we realized we had this roster of over 500 foodies, who had just reached out to us. And so we then decided to vet our hosts using what we call this ambassador program. So our hosts found out about us through local press or, social media, and 50% is still through word of mouth. So hosts that we bring on will say, hey, I have an amazing host friend who cooks the best biryani in South India or who makes, the best asado in barbecue in Buenos Aires. And so they would bring them on. But in order to vet them, we then would reach out to our ambassador group and say, if anyone is traveling to, Buenos Aires in the next couple of months, we have a host for you to vet. So they would go to their host's home, have a free meal, and in exchange for that free meal, give us their honest review and fill out a vetting document. And if host pass a certain mark on that document, only then do we invite them in. But prior to that, we have a video call with all our hosts to ensure that they're just as passionate about food as we are.
Well, it's easy to be passionate about food, especially when you weigh 220 pounds like I do. It takes a lot of food to keep that going. What are some of the best experiences that you've either heard about or read about from your clients at various host family or host members' homes?
Yeah, I'll share a few experiences. Another reason we started the company was not only to create meaningful travel and provide income to locals, but also to preserve culinary traditions. And I have a host in Mexico who told me, she said, Aashi, my kids don't want to learn how to make my grandmother's recipe for mole because it takes, 2 or 3 hours. But I love that a couple from San Francisco is willing to pay to learn to make my mother's recipe. So it's a wonderful way to, preserve those culinary traditions. We had another experience, my favorite travel memory and experience was meeting our host Deva in Bali. Deva at the time was a gardener and staff member at the local resort. And he offers this beautiful garden tour before the cooking class at his home. And, you start off by taking this tour through his garden and you learn how, they grow galangal and lemongrass and vanilla and cacao and all sorts of things. And then you pick a few herbs for your meal. And I remember Rodney being in that garden and looking up and spotting this bright orange papaya on the tree. And I was just like, Deva, what is that still doing up on the tree? Why aren't we eating that right now? And he truly is a modern day Buddha. A lot of our reviews say that too. But he was very solemn. Aashi, in Bali, we believe that you only take what you need for the day. This morning, we had 2 papayas up on the tree. So we took one for us to eat and we saved the other on the tree for the monkeys to eat and spread the seed. And I was just struck by, this deep respect for nature that they have and the sustainable way of living. And it was just so wonderful to feel that. And then he brings me into his home, which is this beautiful space that overlooks a lush garden. In Bali, they tend to live in these family compounds where each nuclear family has their little home, but the home is within a family compound. So the kids run around, and if something were to happen, another cousin or aunt or uncle would bring them back. It's just a wonderful way to live. So it's real insight into how people live there. But then we cooked these traditional dishes. My favorite dish was this dish called bregadel, which is a Balinese corn fritter. But it used to be a Dutch colonial recipe that the Balinese had made their own by adding, lemongrass and ginger and chilies and things like that. It was simply one of the best fights I had. But and then you cook on this like wood-fired stove. You will learn to press you grate coconut on a bark and press coconut more fresh, and you eat this wonderful meal. And all to say that a few years later, Deva had hurt his back carrying luggage, and so he wasn't able to work as much at the resort, and so he started hosting for Travel and Spoon a lot more. And he called me one day and he said, Aashi, I just wanted to say thank you to your team and you for giving us this opportunity to host at Travel and Spoon. And I was like, no, we thank you. He was one of our best hosts. Certainly just offered this truly meaningful experience, and the reviews that people would write with these tomes. And he said, no, I wanted to thank you because now I am able to send my kids to school. The money that he was making for Travel and Spoon, hosting from his home, sharing it with his family, was 10 times what he was making at the resort, 10 times the minimum Bali wage. And so it just was one of the most gratifying, humbling experiences of, owning Travel and Spoon, is to actually be able to give people a chance to make an income doing what they love from their home.
So you reach the consumer through a variety of methods. I guess one is your website, one is word of mouth, but obviously the travel advisor community is a big part of what you do, because I know it wasn't inexpensive to have a booth at that big meeting in Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, you're right about that. But we've been, really grateful to have Signature Travel Network as our partner. They are this, consortia that have tens of thousands of agents under their umbrella, and truly one of the most fun conferences. And the agents are just the most wonderful, down-to-earth people. So it's been just such a pleasure to be partners with them for so many years now. But yes, travel advisors are certainly one of the ways in which we get the word out. So we work with our signature agents, and so they book our experiences on behalf of their clients. And another channel, Rodney, is also we work with Project Expedition, which is also a signature partner, and they are an online travel agent specifically for travel advisors to book online. And so we're partners with them as well and have grown a lot with them in the past couple of years.
Yeah, we're looking at a lot of what I call aha experiences like you're providing so that we can differentiate ourselves from our competition. Has your travel advisor ever suggested that you dine in homes all over the world with homeowners who are doing their great-great-grandmother's favorite recipes? No, but we do. And so I think that Traveling Spoon is one of those differentiators, especially when publications as prestigious as the ones I've mentioned refer to you as the future of culinary tourism. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, thank you. We, are so grateful and feel humbled by the press we've received. And actually, just today, the New York Times posted about us again in their travel section. So we've got this Black Friday, actually Travel Tuesday deal running on Cyber
December
Monday
3rd.
and Travel Tuesday. So the New York Times just posted about that, one of the top experiences and one of the best deals for travel in town.
Yeah, I noticed that it says you're going to have a promo on next Tuesday for 15% off any in-person traveling food experience at your 200-plus destinations around the world.
That's right. Just simply enter the code TRAVEL24 and you should have 15% off your experience.
That's good on travel through the end of next year, right? Okay, super. Well, listen, I really appreciate you taking the time to be on our show today. I think you're onto something huge. I can't wait to plan our next trip. Well, our next trip's already out there, so I've just got to circle back and put the garnishment, which is you and your people. And by the way, none of these are just everyday people. They're not Culinary Institute of America trained chefs. They're
exactly. These are some of the best home cooks around the world.
Yeah.
Right? Your mom, your grandma, your uncle, your grandpa. And yes, we do have a few Michelin star trained chefs on our platform as well. But for the most part, these are the best home cooks. And I did want to share, Rodney, I forgot to mention this, but just in the past year, we launched in the US. So even if you're not traveling internationally,
right,
but are looking for something in your area or you want to gift an experience to, family members or friends, it's a wonderful way to do it. We launched in New Orleans, in Cambridge, in Seattle, LA, we're all over the country now, Detroit even. And my favorite recent experience that we brought on is our very first Indigenous experience in Juneau, in Alaska.
Oh, really?
And yes, there are only 950 Tlingit tribes, people left in Juneau, and we brought on 2 of them. So Cindy and Mike are members of the Tlingit tribe, and they are hosting our truly wonderful cooking class and meal. Her husband, Michael, has the permit to be able to fish for wild salmon and halibut through a net, which is the way Indigenous people used to do it. And so that's how he fishes. And then you learn to cook that halibut or wild salmon with Cindy in her home.
Oh,
and
I'm drooling sitting here just thinking about, there's nothing better than fresh caught fish, unless, of course, it's fresh caught salmon from the icy cold waters off the coast of Alaska.
It is truly a delight.
It is.
And it also, you get a tasting of some Indigenous foods that I had never heard of up until a few weeks ago. So have you heard of spruce tip jelly? So she makes a jelly out of spruce tips. And I didn't know you could, use that in food, let alone eat it. So it is a special experience dear to my heart. And I just wanted, your audience to know that there are experiences in the U.S., and we've also branched out into mixology classes. So
really?
If you're feeling like a rum cocktail in Barbados, we have a wonderful host there, Shane, who offers a mixology class.
What country has the biggest number of your in-home offerings?
Our top destinations are Japan, Bali, Italy, Mexico, and now Greece.
Wow. So
Yeah.
imagine this, folks. You're taking your family on a multi-generational family vacation to Italy and wherever else in Europe you want to go. But the experiences of dining in someone's home instead of a restaurant, I'm guessing that number one would save some money, but the memories that you're going to create for your family in learning some of the secret family recipes that have been in these families sometimes for generations.
Yeah. Ravi, thank you for sharing that. That's exactly what so many of our reviews say, right? It's how people make you feel that lasts with you forever. And that's what they take back. We recently had a review from a signature agent who said that their travelers, her clients, the travelers went on an experience with our host in Venice, and which is, one of the most touristy cities in the world.
Sure.
But they were able to have a truly unique, non-touristy experience by visiting our host Massimo, who is an officer at the Merchant Navy. And so when he's out on the boat, he hosts these experiences where he takes you to the fishmonger and you buy fresh fish and you learn how to make seafood with him. And they said that we are going to be talking about this experience for the rest of our lives because it just had such an impact on them.
There's a saying, it ties into this very well, and I'll wrap up with that. And that is that people may remember what you say, they may remember what you do, but they will always remember how you made them feel.
Yeah.
And it sounds like the people you work with are going to make these people not only feel good, but leave with a tummy full of great home cooking while they're traveling anywhere in the world.
Absolutely. So travel off the beaten path with us. And thank you, Rodney, for this opportunity.
Yes, you're very welcome. Thank you for coming on the show. And everybody that's watching, just remember, we always close with this. Get out there and enjoy yourself because it is later than you think. Bye for now.
Thanks for joining us on the Luxury Travelers Podcast. For more information, head on over to luxurytravelerspodcast.com to connect with our team or leave us a message. Until next time, safe travels and savor the extraordinary.